Tien had nothing, no roof, no family, no future. Just silence, mountains, and the weight of a past she never chose. But then came Jack. He didn't just offer her shelter. He offered something far rarer, belief. And when the storm tore through their village, leaving ruins where her fragile home once stood, Jack didn't flinch. He rolled up his sleeves and started to rebuild from scratch. Not just a house, not just a farm, but a life. Tien stood in the middle of what used to be her only home. Around her, broken furniture, torn curtains, and cracked dishes painted a grim picture of loss. But her eyes did not weep, they held resolve. Standing by her side was Jack. "Let's move the stove to the back," Jack instructed as he and a few friends lifted planks and buckets of dirt to fill the uneven ground. They didn't rest. To them, this wasn't just about rebuilding a house, it was about restoring hope. Tien wasn't idle either. She rolled up her sleeves, picking up broken bowls, cleaning off the mud, salvaging anything that could still serve a purpose. For the first time in a long while, she felt something warm stir inside her, a sense of belonging. The buzz of saws, the snap of metal wires, and the rumble of an excavator filled the air. Jack climbed atop what remained of the roof, cautiously removing each section. "Watch the electrical wires," he called out. To the outsiders, this scene might look like a simple cleanup. But for Tien, it was the very first step toward a new beginning. This wasn't just a house made of bricks and wood. It was being built with care, sacrifice, and a kind of love she once thought she didn't deserve. Not long ago, Tien's life was a far cry from where she stands today. She wasn't living in a home, she was surviving in a cave near the mountains, a shadow of herself, after walking away from a broken marriage. No job, no support, no destination. "I used to sleep in the rock crevices where it was dry. Just me and the silence," she once confided. But fate had other plans. At that time, Jack was overseeing a construction site nearby. When he first saw Tien lost, thin and silent, he offered help. A meal, a place to rest. Nothing more. Tien didn't trust easily, but Jack never pushed. He just kept showing up with small acts of kindness that slowly rebuilt the pieces she had lost. "I never thought someone like him would even notice someone like me," she once admitted, eyes soft with memory. "He was everything I wasn't, smart, capable, kind. I figured he'd be surrounded by people better than me." But Jack didn't see her past. He saw her potential. He saw a soul that hadn't given up even after the world had. Their connection grew slowly, quietly. What started as help became friendship. What was friendship turned into something deeper. It wasn't grand. It wasn't a fairy tale. But it was real. Today, as she walks through the wreckage of what once was, Tien knows one thing for sure: she's not walking alone anymore. Jack may have been the one drawing up the plans, but Tien had her own vision, a dream she rarely spoke aloud, to build something together. Not just a home to live in, but a place that could sustain them both. A farm. A piece of land that would carry their sweat, their stories, and their shared hopes. "I don't want him to carry everything alone," Tien told a neighbor one afternoon. "He's already done so much. I need to find a way to help." Yet doubt lingered. There was a shadow she hadn't shaken, her past struggles with fertility. "I was married for years and never had children," she whispered, fearing that she might never give Jack the family he deserved. Especially knowing Jack was an only child with a loving mother who hoped for grandchildren. But instead of retreating, she channeled her worries into action. She began selling plums at the local market, harvesting them from a neighbor's tree. The earnings were small, just enough for daily needs, but they were hers. They were proof that she could contribute. "I want to work beside him, not behind him," she said. Jack understood. Without saying too much, he started clearing the land for their future farm. He dismantled the old kitchen, had trucks haul in fresh soil, and began designing a new structure, sturdier, safer, higher off the ground. Their vision wasn't about wealth. It was about stability, dignity, and building something with their own hands, something no storm could wash away. Though Tien had no blood, relatives nearby the village quietly wove her into its fabric. There was the elderly woman next door, everyone called her Auntie. She treated Tien like a daughter, offering warmth without judgment. When Tien started selling plums in the market, it was Auntie who handed her a basket full of fruit and said, "Take it. Sell what you can. Keep the earnings." "No, I can't take so much," Tien protested. But the old woman only smiled. "You're not taking. You're building." That gesture, so simple, so human, meant everything. In the market, Tien stood beside seasoned vendors, her small pile of plums dwarfed by larger stalls. Yet her sincerity shone through. Customers returned, not just for the fruit, but for her gentle voice, her honest eyes. Each coin she collected was more than money, it was a step towards self-worth. After the day's sales, she rushed back to Auntie, offering a share. "This is yours," she insisted. Auntie refused. "Save it. For your farm. For your life." Moments like these became the threads stitching a new kind of family around her. One not defined by bloodlines, but by care, generosity, and the quiet power of being seen. For the first time, Tien felt what she hadn't known: she needed a community that believed in her. At sunrise, Jack was already on site, sleeves rolled, heart steady. This wasn't just another construction job, it was a mission. He had mapped every inch of the land, calculated how to raise the foundation, how to angle the roof to catch both sun and breeze. Every nail he drove, every board he lifted, carried a quiet promise: she'll never feel unsafe again. Back home, he spoke with his mother, seeking not approval, but understanding. "She's not just someone I want to protect," Jack said. "She's someone I want to build with." His mother nodded, watching him with a mix of pride and concern. "Just remember, do it with love, not pity. She's strong, Jack. Let her prove it." And she did. Though Tien couldn't pour concrete or lift timber, she found her ways to contribute, hauling small buckets of soil, organizing tools, preparing meals for the workers. More than that, she stayed present, encouraging, steady. When Jack saw her sitting on a beam, wiping sweat from her brow, he didn't see someone fragile. He saw a partner, a fighter. Even when the weather turned, when unexpected delays stalled their progress, neither of them complained. They adjusted, they waited, they carried on. Together, every piece of the farm, each plank, each plant, was a shared effort. Not perfect, not easy, but real, and that made it beautiful. The new home wasn't grand, it didn't sparkle, but it stood strong, sunlit and ready. Jack had made it just big enough for two, but solid enough for a lifetime. Tien walked through its doorway with bare feet and misty eyes. The walls were still unpainted, the windows plain, but to her it was a palace. "This isn't just a house," she whispered. "It's a fresh start." Jack smiled. "It's our start." Yet there was still something unspoken between them. Something fragile. Tien carried a quiet fear that her past, her infertility, her baggage might one day make Jack regret his choice. But he never let her dwell there. "Families aren't measured by how many children we have," he said. "They're measured by how we care, how we grow together." With time, with work, and with mutual respect, their lives began to take root. Neighbors came to visit. The garden started to bloom. Even the stray cats returned, curling up on the porch, as if they too knew this place had become home. Jack's mother, once quietly observing, started calling Tien daughter. The word wasn't forced. It came one morning over tea, warm and effortless. The farm grew slowly, but so did Tien's confidence. She harvested, sold, saved. Each coin a reminder that she wasn't being rescued, she was rising. And one evening, under the golden light of a setting sun, Jack turned to her and said, "You don't owe me anything." Tien shook her head. "I know. But I still want to build everything with you." Their hands met. And just like the two people who had once been lost, had finally come home to each other. Thank you for walking with us through this journey of resilience, love, and quiet courage. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that new beginnings are possible even after the storm, then our work here is meaningful. This is TNB Review, where we don't just tell stories, we share lives one moment at a time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more real stories that inspire. See you in the next story. All content, including narrative structure, voiceover, and editing concept, is the intellectual property of TNB Review. Unauthorized reproduction or redistribution of any part of this production is strictly prohibited.